This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement.
Hey, Blueprint Nation, what's going on? Welcome to the Respect My Blueprint show, where we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here, okay? And we are not failing today on giving you guys more insight on how to build your blueprint. And because today's episode, I have a special surprise. I have another wonderful guest on today's platform that's going to share with you guys on how you need to build your blueprint. All right. I have a motivational speaker and coach for all of my entrepreneurs out there. So I hope you're super excited because on today's episode, we're sitting down with the man, the myth, the legend himself. He rewrites playbooks and destroys comfort zones for those. So if you're in your comfort zone, you might as well shift on the couch because we're going to get you a little uncomfortable here. All right. And he's a mindset sniper. He is a sales legend, and he's going to give us a live masterclass today on today's show on how to turn your pain into performance. So I'm super excited as we're going to drop bombs today on success, leadership, and hustle. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. I have my main man, my friend, and my today's guest, Gerardo Linarducci. How are you doing today, my friend?
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me. And more importantly, you know, the reason we're all here because of Memorial Day weekend, right? Yeah. So never forget those who gave up their lives for our freedom.
You are going to go ahead and talk about how today's viewers can unlock financial freedom and just entrepreneurship freedom for themselves.
Absolutely.
Super excited. You know, Gerardo, we had the pleasure of meeting one another before today's episode and breaking bread with one another. But the audience, I want to go ahead and get them tuned in and get them prepared for what they're about to experience in today's show. So if you could share with them a little bit who you are, a little bit about your background, so we could go ahead and set the stage for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, I've started the shows, my speaking engagements. I'm an immigrant. I am a first-generation immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 2 years old in 1966.
Oh, man, you gave up a little bit of your age there, okay? But go ahead.
Yeah, right, just a little bit. But I tell everyone, my parents did it the right way when we immigrated to the U.S. in 1966. Right. So the reason my parents came was to achieve the American dream and to give myself and my brother a better opportunity than what they had in Europe and in South America. Okay. So as I start, I want everyone to understand that if you take them off the table that they're my mother and father, but look at the accomplishments that they have accomplished as individuals, not knowing how to read, write, or communicate in the English language. Both of my parents retired pre-65, and here we have millions of Americans who know how to read and write, can't do it at the age of 70.
Damn.
So when I see people complaining, they're complaining because they didn't do the things they were supposed to do like successful people have done. So, you know, my dad is 91, pushing 92. My mom is 84, pushing 85. So there's, that's a little bit about me. Grew up on the East Coast. Worked for the airline for a little bit. Then I got into financial planning. I did that for 28 years. And this past year, June of 24, I decided to do what I always wanted to do, slow down on the financial planning aspect of it and start professional coaching and giving back to the industry that gave me so much over the 28 years.
Okay. Wow. 28 years. So let me ask you a question. What was the driving force? What was the impetus that caused you to get into coaching, business coaching, and personal coaching?
Yeah, well, we as individuals have to be humble enough, have to be honest enough that we can't achieve greatness by ourselves.
Oh,
no matter what a person does for a career, they didn't get there just on merit alone. They didn't get there with skill set alone. They had people pushing them, challenging them, getting them out of their comfort zone to
Right.
become great.
Right.
So you look at any athlete, Tiger Woods, right?
Right.
Wes, we are all born with talent. We are all born with a purpose, but
Goes without-
many of us never discover our purpose or our talent. And if we can't discover it, we have to rely on someone else's ability to see the talent that we have, and then secondly, draw it out of us. And third, as they draw it out of us, hold us accountable once we decide we want to use that talent. So for me, the talent, the purpose, I believe that I was put on earth was to impact people's lives with the gift that God gave me of having the ability to bond and rapport with my potential clients right away.
Man.
And the reason I do that, Wes, is I'm just transparent. It's kind of like when you go shopping, right? And someone says, "Oh, can I help you?" And you say, "No, I'm just looking." It's because you don't want to be bothered.
Right.
Right. But if you go up to the individual and you say, "Listen, I'm not trying to step on your toes, but I'm Jerry. If you need anything, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you when you're ready to start buying."
True.
So just treat people. The old "what would Jesus do" bracelets really had an impact in my life. It's what would you do if the tables were turned? So when I coach financial advisors, there are no magic questions. Just ask the questions that are in your heart that you would expect an advisor to ask of you. Just turn the tables around. That's the secret.
That's the secret right there. Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because number one, especially because I'm a first generation immigrant as well, too.
Okay.
My parents are Haitian, so I'm Haitian American. And, this country is made of immigrants. And when we come here, we're not accustomed. We chase the American dream when we come here to America, but many of us are still unaware of what is that American dream, right? Especially as we're in this new age that we're in right now. And you highlighted a very important point as far as needing to being able to connect, collaborate with others that will help us get there. Because I have a phrase that I always say, you can make $1 million for yourself, but not by yourself. So you sharing that right there further amplifies and exemplifies how the importance of, networking, collaborating with the community as part of an essential point of being able to chase the American dream and build yourself, So I wholeheartedly agree there, right? Now, so you shared the reason why you got into coaching. So number one, what I wanted to ask you is I did a YouTube video actually about this 2 days ago, right? And the topic of the video was the things that school does not teach us, right?
Yeah.
And I covered taxes, I covered entrepreneurship, I covered I covered money. But the fifth element I covered is the importance of selling. So in your point of view, I wanted to, if you could share with the audience, especially you're a sales coach and a leader, if you could share with us the importance of selling as a life skill to be able to prosper in the American dream.
Wow. You hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter. That old saying, you can sell ice cream to an Eskimo, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter what product you are selling. It doesn't matter. What matters is you being able to connect with the individual or individuals that you are speaking to build trust and break the trust wall down as quick as possible.
Wow. And that could be a tough task for people too, right?
Absolutely. But if you have a coach who understands that, he could teach you that. That's what coaching is all about. Having the ability, having a coach who just doesn't talk the talk. I always make fun of life insurance companies. The majority of employees inside those massive buildings in every major city across the country is a
Right.
life insurance business. The majority of employees were failures in the sales force. They were book smart, but they were not communicative intelligence. They didn't know how to hold a conversation. They didn't understand that it didn't matter your product wasn't the best. Wes,
Right.
think about it this way. If you purchase a TV today,
Right.
by December, it's already outdated.
Of course, right. That's the world we're living in. You're
Right?
right. Right.
So that's the mental crap that we have to fight is, if you're trying to sell on a product, well, you know what? Pardon my French, but your product is going to be shit in 6 months anyway.
That's why people buy from people, not products.
Yep. Yep. My old joke is, I needed to hang a picture on the wall, but I didn't have a hole in the wall. And I had to go to one of the home stores like Lowe's or Home
Home
Depot,
Depot.
whatever, right? And I had a drill, but I didn't have a bit. The ultimate goal here is the hole in the wall. So I have to go buy a drill bit to get that hole in the wall so I can finish my project. So we have to be fine-tuned. What are we after when we're
Right.
going to sell? And having the ability to be coached. If you're not coachable, you're not going to make it.
Mm. Mm. Preach, brother. Preach.
It's like Tom Brady said it,
Yeah, preach. Come on.
right? I had to listen to my high school coach. If I didn't practice the techniques that he taught me, I would not be one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game.
Right. Right.
So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Absolutely. And you've highlighted a great point is because number one, I think the two biggest things a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when they're getting into their entrepreneurship journey, two of the more common obstacles they face, and I want your opinions on this. It kind of piggybacks off what your point you just shared here. Number one, being coachable, right? Because when you have a passion, you have a dream. Most people, when they have their baby, their business, they feel like they know it all, right? Nobody could tell or explain to them better of their idea or concept, which could be farthest from the truth. Which what you just shared.
Yep.
For Tom Brady to be the greatest, he had to humble himself and say, I need to be coachable, right?
Yep.
Especially when he came out of college going into the NFL as the last pick, right? So that had to humble him. But, also another obstacle I feel a lot of entrepreneurs faces, and I want your opinions on this and feedback, is needing to get a mentor, an actual coach like yourself, right? Because that ultimately goes back into the initial point you said, hey, connecting with someone, collaborating, but getting a mentor, what I believe is the cheat code to success, to cheat code in entrepreneurship, because they're going to be able to allow you to, circumvent or sidestep the mistakes and trials and tribulations you're ultimately going to experience, right?
Absolutely. That's the wisdom. That's the wisdom a coach
That's the
has.
word. That's the word right there. Right.
So I want to share with you a couple of things. What school doesn't teach us, right?
Right. They all teach us something, right?
But school does not teach you how to network. School does not teach you 100% to ask for help. What do they say? Do your homework by yourself, right?
That's true. That's so true. Right. Right. Good.
So I'm not throwing the school system under the bus. No.
Right. Right.
But they don't teach us the techniques, nor do they give us the tools to succeed in life. They give us the book smarts, but they don't give us the intellectual smarts. There was a movie, I believe there was a movie out there with Michael Keaton called The Founder. It is the
Oh,
history
the one about the history of McDonald's. I've
of
seen that.
yes.
Everyone needs to see that movie.
Yes,
Yes.
everybody needs to see that. And there is a great line that Michael Keaton says in that movie. And
Mhm.
that line is, the world is full of educated fools, meaning you could be the class valedictorian, but if you don't know how to network, it might be the end of the road.
As a matter of fact, just to cut you off, if you look at the grand scheme of the movie,
Yep.
that was it, because the original owners of McDonald's, extremely bright, because they were the one to
Yep.
think of the concept of,
Yep.
modernizing the burger making process. But
Yep.
Michael Keaton, he was able to network. He was
Yep.
in charge of the expansion of
Yep.
it, which ultimately allowed him to get the entire business. So
Yep.
yeah, good point.
And there you have another gentleman. McDonald's became McDonald's because he surrounded himself with the people that could help get McDonald's to where it is today.
Right.
Right?
Wow. Such a great animal.
Oh, it's I love that movie.
Yes.
I've learned so much as well watching that movie.
Yes.
The other thing you mentioned was about mentor. So in 1997, when I got in the insurance business, I was the Gamma, which is an organization in the insurance business, and I was agent of the year in 1997, my first year in the business.
Right.
New agent of the year, excuse me. And my
Okay.
wife at the time was working at the airport, and one of the customer that came in, and she
Mhm.
said, "Oh, Mr. Clapp, here, I want to show you something." And he said, "Oh, thank you, Jennifer, but I already have like 4 or 5 copies," because he was the number one guy.
Right.
And
Okay.
Jennifer says, "No, no, no, Mr. Clapp, I want to show you what a real man looks like." And
Yeah.
yeah, right. So she showed him my picture, and he didn't know I was in the business.
Right. Okay.
That afternoon, when he got to Tampa, we had a conversation. A week later, came to my house, and he was my mentor for the next 11 years.
What?
Never did he never asked me for a dime. Never asked me for a dime.
Really?
Yeah, and he mentored me. This gentleman, David Clapp, served in the Marines. I'm not going to mention names, but he had very, very high profile clients, which just blew my mind that he introduced me to personally. It was just unbelievable.
Okay.
Mr. Clapp passed away 4 years ago. And when I went to see him, I held his hand and I said, and I still called him Mr. Clapp, okay?
Right.
I said, "Mr. Clapp, I want you to know that because of you, I am where I am, and I will continue and promise to carry on your legacy to mentor others who are willing to be coached in our business."
Wow.
So I am humble and I am grateful because this gentleman started my journey. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I ran out of all my leads, and then he's the one who taught me how to do it. And I never looked back. So the only way I can repay him is to carry on his legacy. Otherwise, think of it this way, it goes to waste. Think of the talent that Jimi Hendrix passed away with that was never shared. The talent of Prince, the talent of Elvis, all that talent was never shared with anybody.
Right. Right.
So there's my second favorite movie is called The Bronx Tale. It takes place at, have you seen that? Okay.
Of course. That's an iconic movie right there,
Yeah.
right? Of course.
So if you remember the very last scene, it pans out from the funeral home from the bedroom window of C.
Yes.
And the last credit in that movie, not credit, but the last line is, "The saddest thing in life is wasted talent."
So true. So
if you combine the entrepreneurial mind with your God-gifted talent, that's where the magic happens.
that's where
That's
you're
where-
unstoppable force at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Because
you're stoppable, but go ahead.
because there's nothing that's more fulfilling in life, right, than not only identifying the talent that God has placed you here, but then leveraging it into a lifestyle, into your into your dream and passion, then it's like boom, it just unlocks so many doors and everything like that.
Absolutely. It's almost like when a basketball player is in the zone, right? He
Yeah.
doesn't even have to look at the basket. He just throws the ball up in the air and he knows it's going in because they're zoned in.
Right, right.
So when you have that in your soul, you are zoned in. So many people say, I have this gut feeling, and then they throw that feeling away and they don't follow it. And then they complain, well, I wish I had this. Well, you could have had it, but you don't have it. So don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah,
You had the opportunity. How many times have you heard, if I had it to do all over again, I would do it a different way?
I call it the shoulda, coulda, woulda syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I called it. I
Yeah.
should have did this. I wish I could have did this. Or no, 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 no.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And so now I want to actually get into certain strategies now. Okay, now
Yeah. Sure.
I've been on your site and I love your slogan where it's and it's behind you. I can. Right. It's not
Correct.
I can't. I can. So and I feel that's a phenomenal slogan, and that's something everyone should embody, personally or professionally, because, it's the mindset you're embodying, that universal law that I can do it no matter what. So
Yep.
if you could share some of the principles and strategies that you exercise in your program so the audience could get a viewpoint on how you're able to transform individuals in the world of selling and mindset coaching, share one or two strategies if you can on how you are able to transform individuals.
Okay. So the first two things. Number one, you have to have a belief statement.
A
What
belief
is your
statement.
a belief statement?
Okay.
So
Okay.
for my belief statement for the past 25 plus years, every morning, whether I'm going to work or not,
Right.
I say this to myself in the shower. Today, I get up and I am going to leave a place that someone relies on me as a husband, a father, now a grandfather, as a supporter. And I'm going to go to a place that someone is going to want to steal my knowledge, my wisdom, and someone has to pay for that. And it's not going to be my family. That's my belief statement.
Ah, wow. Very powerful.
So
Very powerful.
to become great, you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't achieve what it is that you are going to want to achieve, someone's going to pay for that.
No questions asked there. Right. Yes.
So now what happens by generating that belief statement, it starts to catapult your mind into the stratosphere of things you've never thought of before because you've never thought that way.
Right. Right.
So it's a mental mind shift. Think about it this way. I remember when I was playing Little League Baseball and I was terrified of going to the batting cage and facing the fast pitch machine.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So, but in order for me to be better at hitting, I had to face my fears. I
Right.
had to face my weaknesses. And when you face your weakness, you're being humble. And when you're humble, things start to happen naturally. Your body posture, the way you communicate with others. You feel different internally. And because you feel different internally, your mind starts to make you do things that you're not normally capable of doing. Does that help?
Absolutely. So getting out of that comfort zone, you're right, because, and again, having that belief statement, which I feel a lot of people are lacking, because that's sort of like your internal constitution, right? If you have that belief system, this is what you abide by, and these are the principles you follow, period.
Absolutely. The next thing that I have people work on is
Hmm.
what their mission statement is. What do they want to accomplish? How do they want to accomplish it? Why do they want to accomplish it? So
Right.
I work on your belief statement. Then we put your mission statement together as an entrepreneur. And then in the second week of training, this is going to blow you away.
Okay, give it to me. Let's do it.
I have my coaching clients write their obituary.
Ooh.
Now, when they give it to me, I know how they want to be remembered. So for me, my job is done. I just have to show them how to live the way they want to be remembered.
Word. It's sort of like having the begin with the end in mind. You have them begin at the end and then just work backwards from there in a way. Yeah.
You just gave an example of a GPS. When you open up your phone, you're putting in the final destination and then the software recalculates it. You can picture when it's doing it.
Right.
So
Okay.
the blueprint is so powerful. People just, it's right in front of their nose and they just overlook it.
That's it. Yes. Yes. And that's so profound in what you just stated right there. Wow. Writing their obituary. And matter of fact, I believe if even the outside audience, if just most people in life exercise that concept, that principle right there, right? Hey, start off in a young age, write your
Yeah.
obituary. When when you leave this earth, well, how would you
Yeah.
want to be remembered? And start working from that point.
Yeah.
Right? Just that point right there. A lot of people would not fall on the sort of that Bronx Tale statement of wasted talent, leaving
Yeah.
here with wasted talent, right? So, all right. So I want to go ahead and switch gears now because, you've shared some of, two of your principles on your coaching. So, how do you deal with burnout salesmen?
Yeah.
People who are quote unquote burned out, because I know that's something you experience a lot, especially people who've been in the industry a
Yep.
very long time or just simply discouraged because they're not able to close a deal, whatever the case may be. So how do you educate or give some tips on how to overcome that challenge there?
Yeah. You have to reward yourself. You
Wow.
have to.
Okay. You have to.
And you reward yourself in a way that impacts others. So for me is, hey, I am going to so for example, every insurance company has a qualification period for a trip, right?
Right.
So for me, I don't put the trip and say, okay, these are 4 quarters that I have to get the ultimate goal for Greece. I have to reward myself. Take a 3-day weekend once a month.
Right. Okay.
Right. So when my children were younger, I used to take them out on date nights, just me and my daughter, just me and my son. Where do you want to go? And sometimes I had to eat food I really didn't like to eat because, right? But that's where they wanted to go.
That's where they wanted to go.
So
Right.
for
Right.
me, giving up an evening to spend time with my children or my wife, that was my quality time, because other than that, you're waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're going until 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Man.
So you have to reward yourself.
Yeah, it's sort of like even when you're on a diet, you got to have that one cheat day because you're
Yeah.
gonna burn out if you're just constantly eating kale and salads every day,
Yeah.
right? You just
Absolutely. I just had this conversation yesterday with my wife, and I said, hey, babe, Juventus, which is a soccer team over in Italy, is coming here to play in the United States in this massive tournament. And I said, hey, I want to go to Philly to go watch Juventus. I can go and come back in the same day. I can take the 6 o'clock flight out. The game's at noon. I could take the 7 o'clock back home from Philly, and I still have time to go get a cheesesteak. She goes, yeah, go ahead. That's my reward.
of course.
Right? That is my reward for achieving what I wanted to achieve. So just reward yourself, and that gives you the work-life balance. And the other thing is shut off your phone.
Man, that is so in this day and age, man.
I tell everyone, you have me until 10 o'clock at night. At 10 o'clock, it goes to do not disturb. And if you're not into one of my your favorites, you're not getting me.
As you could, there need to be boundaries, right? There need to be boundaries.
And just as I respect their boundaries, they have to respect my boundaries.
Facts.
So at the beginning of the coaching, I give them my contract of what you're going to get from me, so you know what your expectations are on paper. Rule number one is you don't have me from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m.
Right.
That's just my time.
Right. That's there's no ambiguity there, right?
Yep.
It's just it's this is it. And that's setting clear expectations,
Yep.
which is ultimately necessary, right? And which now I want to go ahead and ask you if you could share if there's a testimonial or an example you could share with the audience of a client you worked with or an organization you worked with, and you've been able to go ahead and make the transformative change for them, so they can get a POV view of what you can do, pretty much, right?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So,
Yeah,
okay. So,
and it don't have to be no names, right? You could
yeah,
just
no. I got you. So I'm going to give you two instances.
okay,
The first one happened roughly about 15 years ago.
okay,
And there was this couple who could not have children. And I joke about this because life insurance helped them get children, to get a child. So, like most Americans, they did not have any liquid funds in a savings account, right?
right.
All their assets were tied up in equity in their home and inside their 401k retirement portfolios, like the majority of Americans.
Americans nowadays, yeah.
So we put together a savings plan with a life insurance contract, a contract that had equity building up into it in the form of cash.
Okay.
And one day I get a phone call with the big ass phones that we were all carrying around with the bag, right? I get that phone call, and he says, Jerry, we got a baby. We have a child. We have
Wow.
to go to Guatemala, and I need the money. How fast can I get it? And I said, you and your wife get on your plane. I have your checking account information. I have all the documents that I need. I'm going to send you the DocuSign. You sign it. And within 48 hours, every penny was in his checking account to adopt his child through the magic of life insurance. So to me, every time I see this child now, it warms my heart knowing that because of the trust of his mother and father in me, gave me the ability to make an impact in this child's life that was halfway around the world. The second one, I always tell people, would you spend $1,500 to potentially make 20 grand in commission? So,
Would you spend $1,500 to make 20 in commission?
correct.
Oh, that's a no-brainer, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You don't know if you're going to close that deal.
So this is for the potential to make 20,000.
Correct. So for me, it was more of, I'm going.
Right.
I jumped on a plane and I went, and I was in this major conference room, and there was the owner, his wife sitting at the heads.
Okay.
On the left side, it was myself and my business partner at the time. And on the other side was his attorney and his CPA.
Okay.
And I said to them, do you know the fastest way from the earth to the moon? And one of them replied, I can't remember. And they said, yeah, straight line. I said, that's incorrect. The fastest way to get from the earth to the moon is to go around the earth and slingshot to the moon, just like a race car when it drafts, right? I had to break their belief system. I had to create a shadow of a doubt. I had to put a crack in their mental mind that what they thought was true was not, and I was there to solve their problem. So for me, when the owner says, gentlemen, can you excuse yourself for 10 minutes while I talk to the attorney, my wife, and the CPA? Wes, do you remember back in the day, the Palm Pilots?
Yeah, before that, this was before smartphones and everything.
Yeah.
Right,
So this is no lie. I had Pac-Man on my Palm Pilot. I went back to my car and I started playing Pac-Man on my Palm Pilot. That's how confident I was. That's how
you
confident.
just knew you had it in the bag. Yeah,
I knew I had. So the gentleman, the business owner says, hey, how much is it going to cost me to? No, first he said, what do I charge you, the CPA? What do you charge me for a retainer? To the attorney, how much is your retainer? And then he said, to to the attorney, can you poke any holes in this? Is everything legit? And he said, yeah, everything's totally legit. So why is here it is. Why is a salesperson bringing me this and not you? And then he asked his CPA, are there any illegal tax issues that I need to be aware of? And the CPA gave his blessing. So then he looked at me and my partner. He says, gentlemen, what would you charge me to put you on my team?
What?
My response was, I'm sorry, you can't afford me. So that's
At that point, you had to be blunt and honest with them, right? Of course,
right.
right.
And then his wife said, okay, then how do we cut the checks? That was it.
That was it?
I swear to you, that was it. And then years later, when we put together the selling of their company and they were able to do all this and reduce the amount of tax on the capital gains and all of this stuff with all these advanced tax strategies that their supposedly CPA should have brought them.
Right.
These people, as powerful as they are, they're order takers. That's it. They work for you when you need it, but they're not going to go out and earn your money to provide ideas. And that's what salesmen do. We provide solutions to your problems that you don't know you have. So again, it's whatever you sell, you have that person's solution.
Wow, man. Gerardo, today, man, you have been absolutely phenomenal in dropping pure gems and value today with the audience. And I believe everything we've talked about of the concept of not having wasted talent and being able to go ahead and just get to connected with a mentor and a coach and having the belief statement and have a mission statement. These are all things that I hope the audience have been able to take away from. But before we wrap up, there's one more question that I want to ask, which I generally ask all of my guests towards the end of the show. And although you've covered a lot of gems and a lot of philosophies and strategies, if there's one thing you could share with the audience that they could utilize in order for them to help build their blueprint.
Yep.
And that blueprint can be just in the general mindset, personal development, or in, what we've spoken about in finances or anything like that in sales. What's one thing you could share with the audience they would definitely need to know in order for them to build their blueprint?
You know how simple it is?
What's that?
Just be yourself.
Wow, man. You know what? Out of everyone I've had on the show, that has to be one of the most profound ones I've ever heard.
Just be yourself.
Yeah. Authentic. That's
it. I mean, when I said that, my goosebumps are still on my arm.
Wow. There was no stuttering. It's just pure, just boom. That's what it is.
That's what it is. That's who you are. Don't be someone you are not, because when you attempt to do that, it screws everything else up.
It's up, yeah.
Because then it's like, so-and-so did it this way. Well, because it worked for him doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So just make it your own. Be yourself, and you will be amazed at the results that will transpire. A couple of weeks ago, where was I going? Oh, I was going to a speaking gig in Charlotte, North Carolina, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was getting ready to board a plane, and I look back, and here is a lady with a baby in one of those sacks, that they...
Oh, yeah, that they have in front of them. They have,
yeah. And she had a car seat in the protective bag. And I look back and I look around, and there's like 200 people getting on this airplane. And I said, the lady took my boarding pass so she cleared me to get on the plane. And I said, hold my boarding pass for a second. I'm going to go help that lady.
Oh, wow.
Right? So again, just treat others the way you would want to be treated. So you have a single mom or a lady who has an infant who's traveling all by herself, right?
Right. So true.
It's just be yourself. Be kind. Be kind to others, and it will all come back.
Man, I love that right there, because that's a great way to end today's episode, because, alongside, in conjunction of being yourself, the ultimate gift you can give anyone is stewardship, right?
Yep.
And just being able to, because giving back, blessing others is what ultimately, no matter what deity
Yep.
you believe in, what religion you're in,
Yep.
or whatever the
Yep.
case may be, it's a universal law, universal principle that,
Absolutely.
and I hope everyone has been able to go ahead and, extract that from, if there's anything that they don't take away from today's episode, at least the last minute and a half of what you shared, I hope they're really able to take away from, because ultimately, if you follow those principles of being yourself and being a good steward, ultimately good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. Ab- Absolutely. Excuse me, it's always interesting when I talk to people and they say, man, I can't believe this is happening to me. And tell them, this is life.
Yeah.
This is life, right? There's a quote with Rocky Balboa in the last Rocky movie. The world isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So we all go through that. We all have done something that we are either not proud of, got caught in the middle of something, but we have to move on. We can't dwell in the
Yeah.
past because we can't change the past.
You can't. Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to stay strong mentally and always remember, for me anyway, with my faith, God destroyed things when he didn't like what people were doing back in the day.
Mhm.
So I'm not a Jesus freak. I don't read my Bible every day, but I read it. And when I read things, I say to myself, wow, well, maybe he destroyed me at this point in time because something bad was going to happen, or he didn't like what was going on.
As a matter of fact, I always tell people that has the mindset of, oh, same thing, like, well, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this? You need to look at it from a glass half full
Yep.
perspective, because if he's bringing you adversity, he's actually teaching you strength.
Yes. Yes.
If he's bringing you somebody that's causing you pain, maybe he's showing you how to love.
Yes.
Right. So most people, if a lot of people would switch their mindsets and their viewpoints in that aspect, then they would realize, wow, the hardships and the obstacles that I'm facing are actually the challenges God has purposely put in my life in order for me to build character and for me to be a better person
Yep.
and see the good parts of it. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
It's a full circle, and that's the beauty of what I do. If someone doesn't like my moral beliefs, I don't need you. Go
That's
somewhere
it,
else.
right?
Right?
Exactly.
It's beautiful when you can dictate your business. You don't have to do business with everyone.
No, no.
It's just like when I applied to be on your show, I have to hope that what I wrote caught your eye for you to want to build your show with me as one of your guests.
And look, here we are,
Yep.
right? And here we
Absolutely.
are, right?
Absolutely.
And man, wow, Gerardo, it's been a great episode. One of the most encouraging, riveting conversations I've had with, the menu of guests that we've had. After today's episode, they're probably on the edge of their seats right now. They're wanting to be able to go ahead and connect with you, especially there's some that probably even want to, inquire and possibly even join your mentorship and your coaching program. You do have a book coming out.
So, yeah, thank you. My book is on Amazon as we speak, and it's called The Art of Selling Widgets. It is the untraditional approach to selling. So you have to stand out. So I teach you techniques of the 1%ers, not the 99 percenters.
Ooh, there we go, brother.
My personal website is I can do it just like you say it.com. Information that.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, listen, Gerardo, glad to have you at today's episode. This was an absolutely fantastic episode. Audience, please, all of the descriptions to Gerardo's book, The Art of Selling Widgets, as well as his website, being able to join his mailing list, today, I highly encourage you to join him. Years, okay? We're not talking some new kid right out of the block that just enrolled from YouTube University and now wanting to go ahead and educate others, but he has a long list of resume, and I'm pretty sure he can definitely do wonders for you, especially if you're wanting to be one of the 1%ers in the sales club. Other than that, man, Gerardo, I'm hoping we can have you back for a part 2 sometime.
Absolutely. I am at your disposal. I enjoy doing this, and I can't take my wisdom with me, so why not share it?
Oh, beautiful. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man. Well, listen, Gerardo, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day. And listen, everybody else, listen, thanks for tuning in to the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where you can catch episodes Monday and Friday, 8 p.m. And as you know, this is the platform where we teach you the blueprint on how to do shit around here. And as always, we are going to catch you on the flip side. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Blueprint, yeah. Blueprint. This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep, West Paul with Blueprint. This guests are exclusive. Get on and tune in and then learn some new tips about credit, finance, investment. A nice chance to get rich and buy land. Flip it, quick 9 bands. Learn all the skills from West, he did it. Learn how to build successful business. Run up a mill and get the digits. Run up a mill. Look, safe place where guests are speaking. Based off financial freedom. All facts, no cap, believe it. Podcast, you have to see it.